trees. A tree in terms of networks is a connected network with no cycles. So let's have a look at some examples. So if we've got A, B, C and D, and we connect just those with some edges, this is not a tree because it's not connected. If we have something like this with A, B, C and D and connect these edges all together, this isn't a tree either because it has a cycle. An example of a tree is going to look something like this. A, B, C and D. And if we just connect this and this, this and this, and this and this with an edge, that's a tree because it's fully connected. Every vertex has an edge and there's no cycles in there. In that tree in particular, this vertex, and this vertex we call leaves. And a leaf in a tree is a vertex with degree only 1. The degree of 1, and all those have a degree of 1 because there's only one edge coming out of that vertex. This vertex here has degree of 3, so it's not a leaf. Now, in trees we can have something, or in a connected network, we can form something called a spanning tree. And to form a spanning tree, we need to remove edges that form cycles. So let's have a look at an example. So let's draw up a connected network. A, B, C and D. And let's draw a bunch of edges in. Okay. Now, there's a lot of cycles in this network at the moment. There's a cycle from A to B to C to D, back to A. There's one from A to B to C, back to A. There's one from A to B to D, back to A to C to D, back to A, and D to B to C, back to D. And we want to make a spanning tree out of this network by removing some of the edges that form a cycle. It actually doesn't matter which edge you remove, as long as you're removing one that forms a cycle. So the first one we're going to remove is going to be, let's remove the edge AB, because it forms a cycle between A, B, C and A. So once we do that, we're left with this. We've got A, B, C and D. And we're left with that after we remove the edge AB, which formed a cycle. But it's still not a spanning tree because there are still other edges that do form a cycle. So if we look at this cycle here, A to C to D back to A, we can remove any one of those edges that form a cycle to make progress on drawing a spanning tree. So we'll remove edge AC. Again, like I said, it doesn't matter which edge you remove, but I'm going to remove AC. So after removing AC, we're left with this. And we still have another cycle in here. We have a cycle from D to B to C back to D. And we need to remove any one of those edges and we'll form a tree, a spanning tree from that original network. So I'm going to remove edge DC, but it actually doesn't matter which one you remove. As long as you're removing one of them, that forms a cycle. So after removing edge DC, we're just left with that edge, and that edge. And now we've successfully created a spanning tree from our original network. One more thing we want to look at in terms of trees is a forest. This couldn't be named any better, actually. So a forest is two or more trees that are disconnected. So an example of a forest is going to be something like this. So here we've got a tree there and a tree there, and they're disconnected from each other. So that's a forest of trees there.